back to the subject. So I was gathering all these court paperwork and going to different courthouses. And in the King County courthouse, I just had to basically make a login and request information. They send it to me, and then I had to send them a money order back for the paperwork. And they just, come up with these numbers, and that's what I would pay. I eventually got all my certified paperwork. I think I had 7 or 8 things that I had to get certified paperwork on, and it was a lot of money. So I imagine like $500 or $600 in paperwork, but I needed it. And then, then there's a psych eval. Yeah, that costs money too. And so eventually I turned all of that stuff over to my attorney. And so they were armed with all that information, and you have to take all of that information. I mean, you got a file, you've got this like affidavit or something that, and then this thing to ask for your rights back. You have to file all the other court paperwork. That was all on file. Same way with all the certified court paperwork from every single charge. Both the state certified background check and the federal certified background check. And it has to be done in a timely manner because the background check can't be too old. Anyways, so standing there in front of this lady, and I'd started this thing 3 years previously to get to this point. I'm standing in front of this judge, and she just rips my paperwork up. And I'm in shock, but I know I can't say nothing. I mean, you're in a superior court, like, this is a judge, and she's, I don't know if she's conservative or what. I think she mentioned that she had some family members that hunted, and hunted was part of her family to some other guy that had filed on his own. That was really weird. I was like listening to all the other cases that came before her, but yeah, she ripped up my paperwork, and I was like devastated. I stood outside. My oldest daughter was out there with me. We're standing on the sidewalk. She had, come from moral support, and I'm standing on the sidewalk, and I can't do nothing. And eventually, I called these people, left a message, and they called me back, and they were just like, well, we'll look into it. As soon as that attorney, comes back at us, we'll figure it out, and we'll just go from there. I think the thing that saved me was because I was flat rated with this attorney, and I really liked their payment plans because that was the only way. I had $3,000 at once. I just had to keep paying them. Man, I hustled every single little thing I could sell in my whole life that was worth anything. I just sold it all. I pawned it, I sold it, I put it on Craigslist. I mean, everything I had, So I get to this point, like they come back, several months later, and they're just like, well, we've looked at the law. It turns out we need to file in Yakima County. So they file in Yakima County, and I'm making a 4-year story small as I can. And I get in front of the room. I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, it's like November 2nd, 2018. I'm about to get my gun rights back. All I need is that attorney to go in there and ask for it. I mean, it's not a thing whether they like you or they don't like you. It's whether your paperwork is in order, whether the time frames are met. They're all statutory laws. They have time limits, and they must be appeased, or else they must be, I don't know what else the better word for that is. I mean, these lawyers will probably jump in, chew me up. All I'm saying is that you have to be so long out of trouble. You have to have all your paperwork in order. Your dots need to be dotted. Your T's must be crossed. And, and for a while there, I thought I was going to try to do it on my own. But after I seen, what they're asking for, I just didn't think I had a simple case, And so that's when I had opted for the lawyer and just saved up and gave him every penny I had. So they outsourced another lawyer. He comes and he sits down at me, and we're in Yakima County that day. Yakima County courthouse, and I'm sitting there, and this lawyer shows up, and he's from Ellensburg. He got they kind of outsource lawyers. I talked to you about that. So Gun19, outsourced this other lawyer. He shows up, and man, this guy was Johnny on the spot, and he was really straight up with me. And I'm not going to use their name. I mean, that's not my business. But he told me, he's like, look, man, if you were from Ellensburg, they don't give gun rights back. I don't care what anybody says, give them back. And I don't know, I just have his word to believe. I don't know. But he was saying that it doesn't matter if the time frames, anything's met, they just don't hand them back. Period. It's just like a done deal. So apparently if you're in Ellensburg, move away. That's really strange because that just seems to me to be a really big ranching town. Anyway, I don't know what else you do. You got wind and places for cows to eat. And apparently they don't got gun rights if they take them away. That aside, he said, like, look, I don't want to, lead you. He's just like, I want you to be, concise. I mean, I was dressed up, had a button-up shirt and everything, and best clothes I had. I went to the Goodwill. I found a shirt, fixed the buttons, sewed them up some because they were, like, kind of messed up. I'm not rich. So, I just, put some slacks together, did my best. Got in there, pulled my hair in a ponytail, and took my hat off and walked in the courtroom and sat down. So we're sitting there, and they're doing some sort of weird law there. This is Superior Court, so this guy's hearing something about some sort of land law, and these people are, like, arguing about it. And about that time, like, he calls up my lawyer, and he's just like, I'm not no prosecutor. You're on the docket. I've seen the paperwork, but there's no prosecutor standing here, here. So I don't understand that. You got to figure that out. So this attorney gets up, and he's just like, wait here, just be quiet. So he leaves the courtroom, and I'm waiting. And they moved on to this case law. Thank God that case law was there because they were busy just talking about land law. Land law. They were talking about the land law. They weren't even deciding anything about the land law. They were just talking about it. And just talking about it, they had lots to talk about. That was like way over my head. But that kept them busy. And I'm glad because if the judge is not busy, they shut it down and push you outside the door and you're done. So this attorney went down to the prosecutor's attorney's office and was like, look, the case is done. He's met all the time frames. All I need is a prosecuting attorney to stand there, look this stuff over, and just help me out. And he just threw himself to the mercy. And there was a prosecuting attorney there that was just like, well, I don't have anything to do. Let's do this. So he follows my attorney back, goes and sits down. I'm just like, I didn't have a prosecutor. I don't even know why. I'm just like, why? I'm on the docket. I'm on the wall. I don't know. But whatever reason, there wasn't one. And in order to have this happen, I need a court. You need somebody from the clerk office sitting there recording. You need, I don't know what her name is, but some sort of a secretary lady that does a clerk, something like that. You need a judge. You need me. You need the attorney, and you need the prosecuting attorney. And without that, you ain't having Superior Court. And I'm just like, oh my God. So this guy shows up, and he's like, I'm a prosecuting attorney. He's like, how you doing? He shakes my hand, and then he goes and sits down. So they continue on about this land law for a little while, and then they kind of got to the point where they were going to stop talking about that, and they were going to set a date or whatever, and they did that. He leaned over and he's like, hey, you went and got somebody, great. And then my attorney was like, hey, I wasn't trying to, I guess he kind of just conveyed that he wasn't trying to step on his toes because normally you don't leave the room. And he was just like, and so he was like apologizing, like, I'm sorry I left. I just went down there and asked if they had somebody available. And he said, no, that's great. I wanted you to do that. And I'm just kind of sitting there in the middle of it. He said, okay, Mr. Wilkes. And he's like, well, the time frame's met. And he just went right down the list, of the statutes. So it looks good here, and then he just signed it. And the prosecuting attorney just signed it, and my attorney just signed it. Another thing that attorney did was he looked over the paperwork that the record Gun.com had sent, and he had more experience with the local law in the state that he fixed that paper. He had put the statutes on the paper, both of them on one paper, and he polished it up so it was just a wonderful Washington paper. And they all signed it. I'm just sitting there like, what? I got my gun rights back. And the judge looks over and he's like, I know Mr. Wilkes is going to want a copy of this. And I'm like, yes, sir. And I just I'm beaming because I had suffered, like 20-something years. I mean, hold on, we're going to pause this video. I don't want to make it any longer than 10 minutes.